episode of the Have Aloha Will Travel podcast. I always say wow after I say the episode number because I'm surprised at how long we've been going.
Yeah, that we still have jobs.
I know. Amazing. I'm your co-host, Kevin Allen, with me, as always.
I'm Catherine Todd Fox. We're with Hawaii Magazine. Here we are, 63.
63 years old. And we have two very special guests with us today.
I just went over how we were going to talk about our photo contest.
I know.
And then you just
but I want to introduce them first, and then we'll
but people are listening. They're not going to see it necessarily.
We have Nick Kuchar with us. Hi, Nick. How are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
And we also have Tracey Kehler, who is the studio manager of Nick Kuchar's studio. Hi, Tracey. How are you doing?
Hey, guys. What's up? I'm doing well. Glad to be here.
And before we get into talking with them, real quick, Kat has something to say about our upcoming photo contest.
God, you're terrible. Just wanted to let you guys know, we've been getting a lot of inquiries about this. So we are launching our annual photo contest starting today, actually Monday. It's going to run through October 17th. And we got some pretty cherry giveaways or whatever prizes this time. The grand prize winner. We always have them. Round trip ticket for two on Alaska Airlines. I guess it's like pretty much anywhere, but we expect you guys to come to Hawaii because you also get a 4-day, 3-night stay at the Embassy Suites by Hilton Waikiki Beach on Oahu. That's for the grand prize winner. So we have 5 categories like usual, land, ocean, people, wildlife. And we launched Sunset last year. And it went really well. We got a lot of sunset pictures that were pretty stunning. But then there was some confusion about whether it was a sunset or a sunrise photo. And like, I know the sun doesn't set off Makapu'u. So anyway, we added sunrise for all you people that are confused about whether the sun is coming up or down. That's available. We have a story on our website about it. Get to our Shopify site. And you can enter no photos earlier than January 1st, 2018. But otherwise, wide open. It's our 23rd annual. So I'm excited about it.
We always get really good submissions.
We get some pretty wacky submissions, though.
Let's get some really wacky submissions. But we also get some really good ones. Sometimes people mail them in, and that's always fun.
That is super interesting.
I don't know if they can still do that. Anyways, now that we got the photo contest out of the way.
Yeah.
Let's get to our guests. Nick, Tracey. Yeah, thank you so much for being on the cast. It's a real pleasure to have you guys. Nick, we actually had you on, my notes here, we had you on episode 35, which coincidentally was almost a year ago to the day.
Yeah, it's a year ago.
Yeah, it was July 6th.
This was like in the midst of COVID. Like I don't even know what we were doing. We were talking to you, Nick, about COVID and how it was affecting business. Oh my God.
Yeah, let's do some yearly hangouts here. I like it. We were probably in the corner of our studio crying in between takes on that one, but we figured it out.
Yeah, and I was worried about losing my job, but I guess I'm still here, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, and also, Nick, you only had 2 kids at the time. Now you have 3.
Yeah, so baby number 3 came in May. So we had just had a newborn, and I don't even know if I was probably on short sleep. I don't know what I even talked about a year ago, but he was the blessing, the silver lining of that year for sure. I think we'll chat about it a bit, about business and stuff too, but yeah, it's a wild year and we persevered.
How are you guys doing now? I mean, with the rise of tourism again, kind of people coming back, have you guys seen a big increase in business again, or how have things been?
Yeah, last year we really spent a lot of time making our website as strong as possible. A lot of people were at home shopping. I spent a lot of time in the studio, Tracey as well, just like being creative, making big decisions of, hey, what do we need to do this year to keep the lights on? And yeah, it was wild just to see. I remember back, it was like maybe February or March, and Tracey walked in one morning and it was like, he's kind of a news hound, as he'll tell you. So he's like watching the news every morning, which I kind of am the opposite. So he came, he's like, yeah, this COVID thing, it might be kind of serious. He's like, we might need to, make some strategy about this. I was like, oh, really? Okay, maybe we should sit down and talk about this. And yeah, little did we know how the year was going to progress from there. But and then Tracey probably has a totally different perception of everything that happened too, just in his own, with his family and everything too. So
yeah, I think it's worth noting though that we did open our first retail location last year during COVID. So in spite of all of the difficulties of the year, there was also a lot of blessings and difficult decisions. But looking back now, we're glad we did them, and we're glad we kept moving the ship forward. So it's been really great.
Is it tough to be creative in a headspace that like COVID? Do you know what I mean? It wasn't just COVID. There was like Black Lives Matters was happening, right? There was like an election, a very pivotal, historic, important, very important election. What was it like to try to be creative and come up with new things but feeling this, you know what I mean? There was so much gloom and concern and fear and all that.
Yeah, it was a heavy time for sure. Like lots of things weighing on you. And I think everybody kind of had the added level of stress and anxiety. And so you try to, you got somebody cutting you off in traffic or beeping the horn like crazy. And you're like, well, he's just having a bad day. You try to give people the benefit of the doubt on that. But yeah, I think there were times where it was really difficult because we're making like really important business decisions, from the backside of our business of like, well, how are we going to navigate and keep going and like keep moving forward? Because we have a staff of people too that I wanted to keep on as much as possible. And like, it's just a difficult time. But then on the other hand, it's like, we didn't have those 100 emails coming in every day. So I was able to focus a little more on, okay, what are some new pieces of art I want to create, or what other mediums can we work in, or, experiment with some things. So we had that little bit of time that we hadn't had, like 2018 and 19 were super busy for us. So we were kind of just like reactionary to whatever we had going on. That's another, something that came out positive that we were grateful for, is to have that time to develop some new things and explore creatively some things.
Man.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that too, I think you had the opportunity to be as engaged or disengaged as you wanted, right? Because obviously if you turned on the TV, it was doom and gloom and everything was bad. But if you just turned all that off and actually went outside during last year, it was pretty chill. You could have the beach to yourself. You could surf some good surf spots, relatively uncrowded, and you could kind of check out, and the world did kind of feel a little bit more peaceful. So I think, we had that opportunity to dial in on the creative side just by, checking out and reconnecting with being outdoors and doing a lot of the fun things that we like doing, living here in Hawaii, but don't always get the opportunity to do.
Why open a boutique during COVID? What was the strategy there?
We were either really dumb or really strategic. I don't know. It was only time would tell. But you have your colleagues and friends that are like, Nick, are you sure you want to do that? Giving us the 20 reasons why it was a dumb idea. But it's something that we wanted to have a brick and mortar location. It was on our radar for a while. We have a great list of boutiques and galleries that carry work of mine and our merchandise, but just to have our own home base where we can have people come in and see the full collection. Tracey built a bunch of furnishings, and it was kind of his baby. Like to redo this space, it was kind of a mess going in, and we stripped it down to a blank canvas and just made it like a really fun interior space that you can picture what you want to, you walk in and you're like, oh, I want to live in this space, so it's like people that maybe can't visualize art in their house can walk in and see it on the walls and like different frame options. We just had that space to do that. So it's kind of like a comprehensive website. It's like our website, but in person, So yeah, it's something that we were interested in a while, and the right opportunity came up, and yeah, we gave it a go.
And where is that located?
It's right next door to Whole Foods in Kailua. So if you know where Fighting Eel is, it's just right on that little breezeway walking in. So yeah, we love the space, and Tracey's been working there quite a bit, and yeah, it's a fun space to be in.
Yeah, I think just to add to that too, it wasn't just on a wing and a prayer. It was a strategic decision, and we'd been kind of, I guess, monitoring potential retail spaces. And then with COVID happening, it maybe energized the leasing agents, and everyone got a little bit creative, and the deal kind of, I think, worked out pretty good in our favor, and so we looked at it and we're like, yeah, I think we're in a position where we can actually make a run at this. And, with very little business happening, we just felt that it was still something that we could positively pursue. And we're fortunate. We feel it worked out good.
And really, with events being just shuttered across the island for a year, like that's something that used to be really important to us, is to meet people in person. And like, we could talk about the locations of the travel prints and like some of the handmade items that we make and things like that, that dialogue wasn't there, and even with retailers that unfortunately had gone out of business, like we saw that list of retailers shrink too, to where we had some great ones before that just for whatever reason couldn't keep going through the past year. So it was kind of a list of checkpoints that just kind of check the boxes that like, there's a place that people can come in, it's controlled and safe, and just try and go from there.
And speaking of starting things creatively, new things, you guys are starting a podcast. You're going to be our direct competitors. So I'm going to be ending this episode now.
I'm not going to be a direct competitor, Kevin.
We're going to put you out of business.
The goal is to take over. We're the podcast and all other podcasts.
No, honestly, being on the show and then hearing how good you guys are, I don't know, I get pretty intimidated. So we're just going to try our best.
I don't think anyone's ever been intimidated by me, Kevin Allen.
Never heard that. Yes.
Yeah, we actually heard our first rough cut the other day, and we were mortified at how horrible we sounded. And, there are certain words I think we each repeated like 50 times in like 40 minutes. So good note to self on what not to say for the next time we record one.
Welcome to the world.
Hey, we're just hard on ourselves. I think overall it was really good. So yeah, we learn and we're trying to get comfortable, but.
So talk a little bit about secondary colors. First of all, I love the name because you can talk about the name too, but I love the meaning of it. And I think what you're focusing on content wise is really original and interesting. And I think this is a great idea. So if you could talk a little bit about, the concept and what it means and what you guys are trying to do with it.
For sure. So Secondary Colors is the podcast that we are hosting, and it's going to be about trying to make a living with your creativity, basically. So we know that there's those artists that just want to create for themselves, and that's great. But we're looking for people to attach to this that have a creative mindset, love art, photography, whatever it is that they're working on, and they want to make a living out of it. So we're trying to get rid of the starving artist name, I guess. But yeah, so we want to be able to empower those creatives and share what we've learned in our 10 years of doing business. I moved to Hawaii and was waiting tables and bartending and started creating art again. I'd been creating art my whole life, but kind of got back into it just because I wasn't fulfilled as a server. And then was able to create something pretty neat, found a nice niche and really love what I do, and was able to turn it into a business while also staying true to myself creatively. So I've had artists approach me and we've had good conversations about what it means to find success as a creative. And especially in Hawaii, it's a difficult place to do business. So Tracey is also very talented, has a big list of accomplishments, and we call him our Swiss Army knife in the studio. So I was like, oh, he's going to be a co-host. That's his new thing he's going to learn.
Yeah.
But he brings a lot to the table too. So I think he'll probably share a bit too, but we don't know it all, but we're going to share what we know, and then also bring a bunch of good folks on the show too, to discuss things that work for their business. Other artists, other photographers, other creatives that can really share, dig down to kind of nuts and bolts of what makes their business work.
Yeah, and just to add to one thing that Nick mentioned, we're not trying to come from a perspective of we have all the answers. Rather, we're just coming from the perspective of, hey, through our last 10 years, here's some of the successes, here's some of the failures, and we want to be honest about everything in between. And hopefully through that, we can either inspire somebody or they can, learn some lessons that we had to go through, and, hopefully it can benefit them. But hopefully people will come and respond and, ask questions of their own. And so hopefully that'll help generate more discussion and be able to benefit everyone listening.
Yeah, there's so many different ways you can go with this. I mean, I think just, the two of you doling out advice and sharing your experiences is already useful and helpful. But yeah, like you said, bringing other creatives on. And I think it goes beyond just artists. I mean, I think anybody who's looking to create a business out of a passion, right? So like a baker, for example, I mean, they're going to run into the same challenges, because I think the creativity is what fuels what they do, right? The passion. But there's the business side that I feel like that's the big disconnect. I mean, I even hear this from my podiatrist friend who's like, I can cut your foot open, but like, I don't know how to bill you for it. And like, that's something they don't teach you in medical school. I mean, I think they're starting to do that now, but there's always been, right? Like, you're good at what you do, but then how do you make a business out of it? And I think just that concept is going to translate well beyond just the creatives. So
yeah, we're the art podcast that has nothing to do with art.
yeah, right, exactly.
It's our podcast about making money.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and it's just about finding a level of success. We're not saying that we want people to compromise what they do creatively, because that's always such a tough thing for me to, like, where do you draw that line of working with corporate clients, trying to meet their needs from a design standpoint, but also doing something that you're proud of. So that's something, just when you are wired like a creative, that's something that that's where you find your passion. Yeah. If you start compromising on all these things that you're working on this project, then it leads to, just something you're not very proud of, or something that you don't want to go down that road.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. I think it'd be great. When are you guys launching? When's your first, the air date?
The first one is August 15th. And then we're going to start releasing monthly from there on out on the first of the month.
And where are you guys releasing?
What platform?
It'll be on all the platforms, Spotify, iTunes, et cetera, et cetera. So it'll be called Secondary Colors with Nick Kuchar and Friends. And so we should talk about the name a little bit too, like you were saying.
I love the name.
Yeah, thanks. So your primary colors are the colors you first learn as a kid creating art. Your yellow, red, and blue. And
I learned.
Yeah, so some people just stop there, and that's totally fine. So secondary colors is kind of like, primary is the art portion of what you're doing creatively, and secondary colors is what you learn next, the business aspect of how you grow and scale and create a business out of it. We talk about that in our first couple of episodes. We have another guest on the show that's kind of went to school, has the same degree that I do in industrial design, and we talked about we don't have business degrees. You learn a lot of things about working with customers and creating art, creating design work, but where does it go from there?
Oh yeah. And aren't creatives like the worst at selling themselves? And you have to talk to people. No.
That's why I have Tracey here. Yeah. He's there to do that.
It's tough though, because it seems like so many people are wired either left brain or right brain, right? And I mean, first of all, let me just give props to Nick, because I feel like he handles both sides really well. But at the same time, you get to the point, I think, that Nick got to in his career, where he's just like, man, I just, after handling all the business side of things, there's just not time that I need to create. Like, there's just physically not time to sit down and produce the art that I want to produce, So for him, I think, being able to hand off some of those day-to-day business things, to me was a blessing to him, and just that it frees him up to be able to create more works of art.
Well, I'm excited for your podcast.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Are there any pieces of advice you guys could share here, or are you guys going to save that for your episodes? I'm just trying to steal it now so that we can just get all your viewers here, and then I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we'll give you a little tasty tidbit just to wet your whistle, get you ready,
and then we'll send the invoice.
Listening. We're calling tip section of our podcast, unsolicited advice.
Mm.
So you didn't ask for it, but we're going to give it to you anyway.
I like that a lot. That's really good.
No, but you'll see a lot of the underlying themes of our podcast is just to go out and try it. Like, don't have a fear of failure. I think a lot of people get held back by that. And if you go from the mindset of, well, if they say no or it doesn't work out, hey, at least you tried and you learned from it for next time. I know that's something I just talk about a lot because I'm trying to tell it to myself, I think, and just try to make myself remember it. But yeah, we talk about different galleries that I've worked with. And like one of the little things, the bits we talk about is how I first got into Green Room Gallery. And it was Surf Art Gallery in Waikiki. They're originally based in Japan, have an awesome festival every year. And my wife and I would walk by this gallery and I'd be like, oh man, there's some really rad surf artists in there. That place is so cool. And we go shop around. And then like I started creating these the travel art. And my wife is like, oh, you should just go pitch it to them, see if they'll carry it. And I was like, oh, no, not good enough to go in there. Like those guys are too cool. And then like mustered up the courage, I guess, after a couple months and went in, met with the gallery, the CEO for the Hawaii gallery here. And he was like, yeah, let's give it a go. This is some cool art. Let's see where it goes. I was like, oh, well, that was a lot easier than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just something like for as many yeses like that, I've had as many no's too. But I slowly just kind of like, learn that over time and see what people like and also see what I like creating. And I don't know. What do you think, Tracey? Is that a pretty good description of what we have going on?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much more advice that we could give, at least based on our experience. But I think in a nutshell, that sort of wraps it up, just helping the artists to be able to, represent themselves properly, to galleries and, even in regards to pricing their work, making sure that they're not undervaluing, the work that they do and not letting people take advantage of them either. So
I have a question. Okay.
Yeah, with a question.
So this is because you're talking about creatives. What if you aren't very good at it, but you love it, but you're just not very good as an artist? Like you don't really have a good POV and maybe your art just kind of sucks. I say this because people ask me this about writing all the time. Like they'll say, I'm a mediocre writer, or, I'm not as good as others out there. Can I still make a living? I tell them no, but whatever. What do you guys say? I'm just kidding, Kevin.
So cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest.
I'm honest. No, I mean, I have an answer, but
advice for.
What would you say to somebody who's like, they're really passionate, but they're just not that good?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there's that tough love, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I think you have to have some niche that people attach to and have an emotional connection to your work. I mean, my work has gotten better over time. I'm always continuously developing and trying to get better. I guess that's something you have to decide for yourself. I started creating this art for our house 10 years ago. So it wasn't really a goal to have a business out of it. But when I did see that a handful of people enjoyed it and local boutiques were asking about it, I was like, oh, like people do enjoy this. And, you have to maybe survey people that will be honest with you, not just your, friends that are going to say, oh yeah, it looks great. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, my mom, she's very complimenting of my work, but sometimes I think it's just because I'm her son. So, but yeah, I think that's a good point because you want to have some kind of, with any business, right? You want to have a good product to start with, and then the business will come after the fact. So it's kind of tough sledding otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And art's such a personal thing, right? Like art that I might consider just the best ever, you might hate. It just like might not be your vibe at all,
Right.
So, to tell an artist you're not good, who are we to really say that to them? It may not be our style. It may not be what we like, but I think there's a room for a lot of variety of styles out there, and on a very, minimal basis, you could always say, hey, just, go throw some work up on Etsy, let people decide, if your work is good and if it resonates with enough people, well, then you'll make some sales and just kind of let it go from there.
Yeah, because on the flip side, I mean, I get this too, is the other side of it, which is, I'm not this great writer, or I'm not this great artist. Like, I'm just kind of run of the mill, or they look at these people who have achieved, greatness, like they won Pulitzers or, Nobel Peace Prize, whatever. And I always say, like, that's not everyone's end goal, and not everyone has to be like that, and it's sometimes not a gift, it's just a skill, and you just need to hone it. So yeah, there's the other side of that too.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
I think would say it's like a lot like music. Like, most people think the music I listen to is objectively bad music, but it is
bad music.
It's just personal taste. I mean, that's what a lot of this kind of rolls down to. I mean, it's interesting too to me that you guys aren't just covering like art. Like, I think it's cool that you guys are covering like a variety of creative outlets. And I guess that probably will come down a lot to like the guests you guys will have on your podcast. I'm curious to know, do you have any names right now that you can share with us of who you're going to have on, or anything like that?
Yeah, so I am the first guest for episode 1. So you may
that's cheating.
Episode 2 we just recorded, and it's a friend of ours, Sarah Cottle, local artist, and
I've interviewed.
she's great. So she's a talented artist, but also has found success running it as a business, and I think one thing I learned from being in the Mana Up program is, we're all trying to find a way to grow businesses into Hawaii where we can have good positions for people to be able to be employed in Hawaii and stay here, because it's so hard. Cost of living's high, and the stronger the businesses are here locally, the more people we can bring on and have a team of people that want to stay here, want to live here, and we're all in alliance for that. So yeah, it was great chatting with her, and then we have a couple other really good artists, photographers lined up, and you'll just have to wait and see.
Oh,
Kevin,
exciting! Just have to wait and see. I like that. You got to keep them waiting. All right. Well, shoot. Thanks, you guys, for being on the podcast. Kat, do you have any other questions?
I always have questions.
You always have questions.
Are you trying to wrap it up? Is that what you're trying to do?
Well, the Zoom meeting is trying to wrap it up, is what's happening.
All right. Well, then we can wrap it up.
Hey,
but thanks for being here. We're excited about your podcast. We hope that you don't take all of our listeners from Canada, because we have a big following in Canada. Go Canada.
Shout out to that town in Canada that really likes us for some reason.
Yes.
We really appreciate you guys.
Anyway, thanks, and congratulations on your new boutique, and good luck with the podcast. I guess my advice would be just have fun. The podcast should be fun. That's pretty much it. People don't want to listen to things that are not fun. And for everyone else out there, if you want to follow us or hear more about us, just subscribe, rate and like us, and then follow us on our social media platforms at Hawaii Magazine. And don't forget, our photo contest starts today, so please enter. We're excited to see your photos. Oh, and if you're doing wildlife, don't touch it. Be sure you're shooting from a distance away. Anyway, and that's about it. Kevin,
do you guys want to shout out where they can find all of your stuff? Art, store, physical location, podcast. Give us the whole shebang.
Date of birth.
For sure. Yeah, I kind of
number.
I could do the send off, but Tracey kind of does it on our show. So
let's hear it.
Yeah,
you guys are putting me on the spot.
I'm so excited.
You can find our podcast at Secondary Colors, or you can find us on social at Nick Kuchar. Visit us on the web at www.nickkuchar.com, or come see our retail space in the heart of Kailua Town, right next to Whole Foods. Thank you.
Man,
You're like a natural.
Yeah.
And August 15th, right, is your first episode. August 1.
It is. Yeah. So check it out, and hope you guys can learn something from it, because we're excited to learn too. Have a bunch of cool folks on the show, and just kind of chat with some good people.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us, and thank you everyone again for listening to the episode. We hope you have a great weekend, or a great week. Sorry, I forgot this goes up on Monday. Hope you have a great week, and we will see you again in another 2 weeks. Okay, mahalo. Bye-bye.
Bye.